I didn't know what I wanted to talk about, but then I looked outside my window and I just watched the clouds roll by for about 5 to 10 minutes. And I thought, when was the last time that you just sat in stillness, in the moment that you are in right now? When was the last time that you were just present in your body? That you weren't thinking about the past, you weren't thinking about people that wronged you or that people you wronged, you weren't thinking about your mistakes or your regrets, you weren't thinking about what could possibly happen tomorrow or next week or next year, you weren't thinking about your 5 or 10 year plan. When was the last time you really just sat in the silence, not scrolling on TikTok, not blasting yourself with music so that you don't have a single thought, not watching 8 different types of media all at once, so because God forbid your brain has one single thought, it will just, when was the last time? Because I spent 23 years just constantly being inundated with information and stress and anxiety and depression and all of these different things. Media, I used to doom scroll for hours every single day. I was in a corporate job that I hated for a year and a half that just drained the life out of me, completely drained all of the joy, all of the excitement, all of the happiness that I've ever felt my whole life. Just poof, gone over the course of like 8 months. And I remember when I finally quit that corporate job and my shoulders were all the way up to my ears when I went to sleep. I slept like this. I remember laying in bed those first couple weeks after I quit my job and I could not do anything. Like no amount of massages or aromatherapy or like anything that I did, going to the gym, nothing helped. My shoulders were just constantly rock hard and I couldn't put my shoulders down at all. I tried. I would force them down and they would just go. And I just remember thinking, there has to be joy in this life. Life surely can't be miserable all the time. It can't be just this. It can't be me waking up every single day, sitting on the edge of my bed for 45 minutes because I can't possibly fathom the next 8 hours of my work day. Because, I would rather get on a rocket ship and blast myself into the sun rather than go to work. Hating my life, hating every single aspect of my life just because I hate my job, just because I have nothing to work towards or strive towards. There has to be more than just begging for somebody's attention in the corporate world. There has to be more than just living paycheck to paycheck and killing yourself for it. Like there has to be more than that. And when I finally quit, I spent 2 to 3 weeks just sleeping, just knocked out. I was in bed, I was bed rotting because my body was finally like, holy cow, we have just spent the past year and a half bombarded with stress and anxiety and all these things. I just remember when I was recovering from burnout, I still am recovering from burnout, right? This is like gonna take me years to recover from, but I'm doing much better. But I just remember as I was recovering in the beginning, I could not sit still. I could not just have one moment to myself. My brain was just running. It was sprinting on a treadmill at like 8 miles an hour. I had to have 8 different types of media. I had the TV on, I had my laptop playing something else, I was on my phone, I have 2 phones. I was on one phone playing one game, I was on my other phone scrolling through TikTok, I was listening to music. I was doing all of these things because God forbid I just had one moment, because my body was just not used to being still, being aware of my body. I was so disconnected from myself that the thought of reconnecting with my body was so uncomfortable that I didn't even want to do it. So I just doom scrolled. I binge watched shows. God, I binge watched like 5 different shows just back to back to back to back to back. I did not leave 1 second for me to have a thought ever. I was always doing something. And after a couple of weeks of doing this, of just bombarding myself with content so that I didn't have to live in my body, I realized that this is not sustainable. My shoulders did not relax. I am wasting the time that I have off. I quit my job for a reason, and that reason was to heal from burnout and exhaustion and the stress and the toll that stress took on my body. But yet here I was laying in bed for 12 hours a day, not being able to do anything, popping gummies, if you know, so that I didn't have to be aware of my thoughts. It got really bad. And I just remember waking up one day and being like, okay, that's it. Enough is enough. It's time to change this. It's time to not waste my life away. I was wasting my life away. And so I started meditating. And it was so uncomfortable. Just sitting in silence. I listened to guided meditations in the beginning, but just sitting and just listening to somebody talk to me for 10 minutes, I couldn't even do it. I couldn't even get through 2 minutes of the guided meditation without needing to leave the app and go to a different app, go to TikTok and go to Instagram and just keep scrolling and consuming media. But I kept at it because I was like, I'm 23. I can't keep spending all of my time looking at other people live their life. At some point, I need to live my life. So I kept meditating. And after a couple weeks of just doing like 1 to 2 minutes of meditation every single day, maybe a couple times a day, I started limiting my social media use. So I put like the app limits on my phone and I changed it, and I put on the grayscale filter on my phone. You click your power button 3 times and then it turns all of the colors to black and white. So I started doing that every single day so that I would not be drawn to the bright and beautiful colors of my phone. I wasn't getting that dopamine hit just from picking up my phone because there were no colors. There was nothing there. It was just black and white. And I did this every single day, along with meditating, along with not being on social media. I still allowed myself to go on social media, but I cut it back way less, and I stopped looking at comments. I started limiting the type of content that I was watching. For example, I used to like watching true crime content just because, I don't know, I guess it fueled my anxiety or fueled my stress. It made my body, it was like a comfort for me. It was a comfort for me. Watching Criminal Minds was a comfort for me. Like doing all these things, watching Mr. Ballin every single day, that was a comfort for me. And I realized when I stopped watching those types of content that I wasn't so on edge. I wasn't always wary of my situation. If I heard a noise at nighttime, my first instinct wasn't, what's that? What's going on? Every single thing was putting my body into fight or flight continually, every single day, every single week, every single month. Like everything I was doing was just fueling that fight or flight. And so I cut out all that type of content. And 2024 hit, and I said, 2024 is the year that I take myself seriously. I take my dreams seriously. I got over my fear of rejection, my fear of being perceived. I got over all of that through trial and error, of course. I started meditating 30 minutes twice a day. And I remember the first couple of times that I did this, that I just sat with myself, by myself, in silence for 30 minutes. I kept feeling the need to go up and do something. Oh, me sitting here is not being productive. I'm not being productive according to society because I'm not out there hustling. I'm not out there hustling like a busy beaver. I'm not chasing the bag. I'm not chasing people and chasing opportunities, and I'm not working 7 jobs at once. I'm not working all hours of the day, getting 1 hour of sleep. I was just sitting there. And there were so many beliefs that had been hardwired into my brain, thanks to society, thanks to the environments that I grew up in, I had to change, and that were brought to the surface because of doing things like meditating. And after just a couple days of being able to just sit by myself, I realized that I was so calm. It doesn't take long at all for your body and your mind to change. The thoughts that I had, sure, I was still kind of on a hamster wheel, but it didn't happen every single minute of every single day. It would happen maybe in short bouts. I wasn't always on edge. I wasn't angry at drivers around me. I wasn't angry at the world. I wasn't angry at the comments on Instagram, for example. I was not easily affected by rage bait on TikTok. And everything just kind of mellowed out. And over the course of a couple weeks of just doing this every single day, my mind changed. I started doing guided meditations, my higher self, and to visualize my dream reality and all these different things. And I just started doing affirmations and surrounding myself with content that made me feel good about myself. Instead of always, reading the comments of rage bait because a wife posted a TikTok for her husband being useless, I just not interested in it. I would always like the good content, the hope core that was on my For You page, the sceneries or other things like that, like just content that made me feel good, content that I looked at and it didn't immediately shoot adrenaline into my veins, content that just made me mellow out, landscapes and photography content and, like clothing content and fashion content or traveling content, like all these different things that I want to do. I started consuming that. All that to say, the person I am now is not the person that I was January 1st of this year. Just in 3 months, I have completely changed the way that I think about things. I no longer think about the negatives. I used to think about the worst case scenario every single time. And majority of the time, like 99% of the time, what ended up happening was nowhere close to my worst case scenario. It didn't work out in my favor. It just wasn't as bad as I imagined it was going to be. But now I think about the best case scenario. I always think about the most delusional possible outcome that could possibly happen. When I post a video, I'm like, 10,000 views. Yeah, sure, that may be delusional, but eventually it's going to hit 10,000 views. Or I'll be driving to the gym and I'm like, I'm going to hit every single green light. And because I'm such in a flow state and I have good thoughts and I'm not constantly worrying or anything, I'm being in the present moment, I tend to hit every single green light just because I like what I'm doing. I like being present. I like where I am right now. I like who I am. I'm not thinking about the past. I'm not thinking about the future. I'm thinking about what am I doing right now? How am I feeling right now? Do I enjoy where I am right now? Do I enjoy who I'm being right now? Whenever I have a decision to make, whenever I have an option to choose from, I just think about what is the best option for me right now. And I've just been doing this so much over the course of 3 months that is now just ingrained in my brain. I just no longer look at life the way that I used to. I used to look at life as such a distorted lens because it was fed to me. The managers that I had told me continually that I had no worth, basically. I had no value. And I bought into that because I'm like, well, if this person did this, then I guess they're better than me. But that's not true at all. Because at the end of the day, why am I half your age, but I'm in the same position as you are? But I just thought, like, those people that I thought, were telling me things about myself and I was listening to them, I would never listen to their advice ever. They're not anybody I would go to advice for anything. So why would I listen to them when they're telling me bad things about myself? That's just dumb. Everybody's on their own journey, but I love where I am right now. Every single day I wake up and I enjoy it. The best example I can give of this is that my grandma used to live right near a train track. And when I used to go visit her, I used to pray that there wasn't a train there, because God forbid there was a train and I had to sit there for 40 minutes and, it just would make me so angry. It would make me so tense. So whenever I would go past that railroad, guess what? There was almost always a train, and I would hate it. I would sit there and I'd be like, this sucks. Like, I can't believe I'm stuck in traffic. I can't believe that I have to do this, that, just blah, 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 blah. Just such a negative, and I was just so negative all the time about absolutely everything, because I was in environments that were always negative, and I was surrounded by people that were negative about everything, and I was not taking accountability for my own actions. I was just going with the flow of what other people were doing. Other people seem to hate their life. Okay, well, I guess over time you start to hate your life too, because that's the energy. You're constantly consuming this energy. Whatever you consume, you are creating. Whatever you consume, your life will turn into just a reiteration of what it is that you're consuming. If you're consuming true crime, for example, all the time, you're probably going to manifest anxiety and feelings of, stress. You're going to be stressed out all the time. And that was so true for me. I was always stressed. I was always tense up. So I would sit in front of this train for 30 minutes and I would hate every minute of it. And then I would have a terrible drive home. Even though I love driving, I would just have a terrible drive home. But now my gym is 2 minutes away from a train track, and to go home, I have to go over the train track. And now I ask for trains. I'm like, gosh, I wish there was a train. And whenever there isn't a train, I'm like, damn, there's no train today, because I would love the chance to just sit in my car and listen to music for 30, 45 minutes, watching a train go by. Like, I love the feeling of being in my body now. It's not uncomfortable for me. It's safe. I know that it's something that I trust. I trust myself. I no longer am running away from being still in this moment, because my thoughts are no longer attacking me. My thoughts are now on my side. My thoughts are there to support me. I'm no longer thinking of worst case scenarios. I'm no longer stressing out over, oh, but what if this and what if that? What if? Who cares? Whatever happens is meant to happen. It's how I react about it. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is. It doesn't matter what's happening out there. What matters is how I and my body and my brain react to what's happening out there. And so now I love the train, because I get to sit and I get to listen to my music and I get to talk to my wife and I get to just daydream about things that could happen. Like, oh wow, a train. How fun. I get to see the little cars go by and I get to imagine what's in it. Like, what if it's wood? What if it's oil? I'm just such a happier person now that I've made a conscious decision to start being aware of my body, start being aware of what I am and who I am and how I feel, most importantly, that I no longer accept situations that make me feel bad about myself. I no longer accept people that make my body tense up or that give me a type of sign. When your body gives you a sign that something is wrong, that something doesn't feel good, and you ignore it, your body remembers that. Your body keeps track of every single time that you cross your own boundary, every single time that you people please, every single time that you do something because other people expect you to do something, not because you want to do something. It keeps track of that. And for me, it kept track so much so that eventually it got to the point where it was like, you know what? Screw it. This woman doesn't give a crap about herself. This person doesn't give a crap about her body. She doesn't care about if she gets enough sleep or if she has a good life or whatever. And it just gave up, and I got burnt out and I got exhausted and I got physically ill. I was nauseous and sick and I couldn't move. I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't walk around. I was so sickly and so exhausted because my body was keeping score for a year and a half of every single time that I listened to people that did not like me, that did not respect me, was making me feel bad about myself by telling me that I was not worth anything. And eventually, if you don't wake up and you don't smell the roses, your body's gonna make you wake up and it's gonna make you smell the roses. It's gonna make you slow down one way or another. So why wouldn't you want to be in charge of that? Why wouldn't you want to be in control of what you do with your life? All that to say, the next time that you're constantly inundated with social media and posts and rage bait and all of these other things, just take a moment and realize that you can change your circumstances at any moment. You don't have to feel this stress. You don't have to doom scroll every single day. You don't have to engage in the content that makes you angry, because that is stored in your body. So the next time there's a sunset, look out the window. Just watch it. Next time you see a flower, appreciate it. Next time you're with your loved ones, put the phone down. Stop thinking about, oh, that post that you saw 2 minutes ago and, oh, what is the next thing that you're going to see? Stop letting the hamster wheel inside your head just continually turn and turn and turn and turn and turn. Stop it. Start being aware of how you feel, and it'll change everything around you. I love my life. I love the silence. I love being alone with my thoughts because I've made peace with it. I no longer think bad things. I think good things. And in turn, good things happen. And in turn, I'm happier. So yeah, and there's a beautiful sunset literally right outside my, like, look at that. I mean, come on. You're telling me I'm not gonna stop and watch that beautiful sunset. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Just look at that sunset. How can you not love that? How can you not stop and just appreciate that? We live in such a beautiful, beautiful world. Amazing things happen around us every single day. How can we not stop to appreciate it? How are we so just involved with ourselves, involved in our lives, involved in everything that's happening to us and around us, that we're missing everything? The sunset is beautiful. The sunrise is beautiful. The clouds are beautiful. When it snows, it's beautiful. When it rains, it's beautiful. Like, I have wasted so many nights, so many sunsets, and so many mountain views and just beautiful things, thinking about, worrying about what's gonna happen and what if all the bad things happen in the world. And I've never stopped. Like, this is the first year that I've just stopped to think about what if all the good things happen in the world. And you're trying to tell me that I look at a beautiful sunset like that and I don't immediately think of all the good things? Life is so amazing. Life is like, it's so beautiful. You have billions of cells that their only job is to keep you alive. How insane is that? Like, your heart beats on its own. How crazy is that? The moon influences the ocean. And I'm just sitting here realizing that I just can't believe I spent 23 years hating everything because of the busy life, because everything happens all at once, because emergencies are emails, apparently. There are stars. We see this, the moon exists. Like, wake up, look outside, look around you. I don't know what else to say. Like, life is so beautiful. And I hope that everyone watching this gets to the point where they realize that their life is so beautiful as well.